All right, we're just starting out, just in the beginning here, to go over our drawing tutorial. We're going to have a fantastic time. This is the original drawing out of my sketchbook, so we're going to duplicate this. We're going to show you how easy it is to transfer this and do another sketch from this one. And then we created this. And we just basically transferred by using our ruler. We use a simple process of scaling things with a ruler. I'll explain all the steps how to do it, so that you can take this drawing from a sketchbook you might have, or you can work right from this here. You could pause the tape, the video, and work from that, or you can pause the video on this and work from this. But I would suggest going through the whole video first and watch how I do everything, because I explain all the steps on using a ruler, scaling things so that it makes it real easy to copy anything. You could copy photographs, pictures from books, anything from your phone, computer, iPad, or even if you're outdoors and you're doing some things outdoors, plein air painting and drawing. You can do any of these techniques and methods I'm going to show you in this video in all of those cases. So again, that's the original I did. This was from 2016 when I was on a vacation, drawing, sitting on a bench along a beautiful, quaint village, and I did a house that was along the village, and in pen, simple ink pen. And then we took that and we copied it and made it into more of like a different, a different idea from the original. It looks similar, but we did it in a, maybe more of an architectural style. Maybe something an architect might do if they were drawing a picture of a house or something and they wanted to show a customer a new addition they're going to put on the house or something, and they would maybe do something similar to this, a little more neater, and maybe, color too, maybe some color, but they might do some black and white sketches as well, once in a while, to come up with some ideas. But in any case, that we went from this, we created this, we show you how to do that step by step in this video. Join along, have a great time. We're going to take our time and cover the whole process. Okay, so we'll be right back and we'll get started. Hi everybody, it's Chris Petri. Thanks for coming by on another tutorial and video here on YouTube. I'd like to thank you. If this is your first time here, I really welcome you and appreciate that you're coming by. And you're going to learn a lot here. We're covering everything watercolor. We also do a lot of emphasis on drawing, so if you want to practice your drawing skills, we definitely, on this channel we cover a lot of drawing and as well as watercolor painting. So we kind of cover both sides of that coin, and it's real important. I've heard numerous professional artists, mention in books and on videos and things like that, we should spend a fair amount of time drawing as well as painting, maybe a 50-50 ratio. So 50% of our time we're practicing our drawing skills, and then another 50% of the time we're working on our painting skills. And that's a real good balance. And then that usually will get you in a really good place. If you tend to just do nothing but watercolor painting and just a tiny bit of sketching with a pencil, then this is a great video for you. And if you already are drawing a lot, then that's fine too. It's always great to just do some more fun drawings. We're going to cover this. I did in New Hope. It's right near an area. I live right near Pennsylvania, actually only an hour from Pennsylvania. And I have family and friends out there in New Hope, Pennsylvania. There's it was a beautiful house across from a restaurant there. I did this in 2016, this drawing, sketchbook drawing, so it's one of those Strathmore sketchbooks, 150 pages or something like that. And it's about maybe like a 8 by 10 or maybe like I'd say it's about a 7 by 10 or 7 by 8 size pad. So it's not, it's a little bit smaller than a sheet of office paper. So we'll do that. We'll use this is a sheet of office paper here. I have a couple favorites I really like to use a lot is the Uni-Ball Vision Elite. Very fine point pen. Excellent pen. I used to use these at work. My coworkers a couple years back or so had me using these for drawings for on graph paper for getting really good details. So this is a great pen. I've been using it ever since. And this is a Sharpie, office Sharpie pen. It's like a felt tip pen. Excellent to use as well. Also, I'll use this medium point. And it's called Impact 207. It's by Uni-Ball as well. So these are both Uni-Ball pens. Uni-Ball, I think, makes really incredible pens. And then also I have a Fano China marker for some shading. And also a Statler 6B pencil for maybe doing the preliminary sketch first. So we'll kind of use all of these. Maybe not every one, but I think I'll probably use maybe the fine point pen, Sharpie, I'm not sure, and then at least these three. We might even do we might work with these two as well, but let's see how it goes. First thing we'll do is we always talk about preliminary sketch. Basically, it's just getting a good feel for and then incidentally, we can actually try to scale this drawing right over to this page by simply drawing it the same size. So what I can do is I can take a ruler and measure it, and in this way it'll be really easy to kind of scale this over to here. So this is 4 inches, so I'll make this 4, like that, 4 inches, and this is 7. So I'll go 7 across, and if I'm still on the camera, I'll be in good. Yep, I'm still good. And then we'll just do the same thing over here, roughly the same. And that's pretty much our rectangle there in pencil. And then from that point, we're really in great shape. We have the same size window or rectangle. And then we could start even using a ruler again and just, you know, kind of saying, all right, well, let's figure out where's the peak of the roof, the actual point of the gable end of this roof of this house. We could just measure over and say it's 4 1/4 inches. So I can go over here and 4 1/4, like that. And then that gives us the top of the gable roof here. Then I can say, well, how tall is the gable roof approximately down to the eaves? And it's 1 1/4 inches, so I can go maybe come over this way a little bit. 1 1/4 inches is right here. Same thing over here, 1 1/4 inches. Just a little tiny light hash mark, 1 1/4 inches. And that sort of gives me where I'm going to need to be for the A-frame roof here. So I can just start out like this and do a light sketch. And then from there, I'm looking over here and I'm seeing it just comes down a little bit, and then it kind of trails over a little bit this way. So there's another wall that kind of, like a wall that returns back almost 90 degrees maybe. Or actually, it's not 90 degrees. It's actually, yeah, it's 90 degrees to this wall here. And then I'll go back over here and get this wall. This wall actually goes all the way down. And then we have some bushes over here, like that. So you can kind of see I'm just starting out with the top of the roof here, and we can even put our 2 windows in. The 2 windows are kind of simple to get in. We just take a light sketch line here and say, okay, there's one on either side of the center of the gable here. So we'll do one like this and one like that. And that looks pretty good. Doesn't have to be perfect. So that's, 2 windows there. And then as we go down from the windows, let's take this measurement from the bottom of the A frame here, the gable. We'll go down from there and say, where does this roof start? And it's about 3/4 inch. So 3/4 inch down here. And you can use, centimeters and millimeters, or you can just even, if you don't, Many artists will just use things and scale things. So I guess, you could take your pencil and say, well, oh, how far is this roof here from the bottom of these windows? And you could take your pencil and then just hold your pencil, the tip of your lead underneath this window here, and then say, oh, it's right there's the roof. And then you can just take this, and since it's the same exact size rectangle as this, and we're making the same exact size building as here, you can just transfer it right over like this, like that, and then you can put your pointer finger down like that and make your hash mark, and then you have the top of your roof over here. And then we can just do that. We could take the roof over here and bring it down a little, and then we don't have to really, let's say, scale everything. We can kind of say, this is just a little bit down there for this. There's like, I guess, looks like a box window. So it's kind of a box out from the wall where there's a window, like so. And we can just drop those lines down a little bit there. And then there's some bushes down here and over here. And then there's a roof over this way here. And there's some more bushes over here, so I'll put those there, like that. And we're just doing, again, rough pencil lines. We're going to go over this with ink or, pen. And I noticed that this is, there's a roof up here that goes like this. And then we could scale this and say, how far does this roof come out from here? And I'll just come over with my pencil and say, all right, well, there's the tip of the lead of my pencils on the end of the roof, and then I'll just put my pointer finger there and kind of hold it, make sure it doesn't move, and come over here and say, all right, no problem, like that, tip like that, and then just make a little hash mark. Then I can get an eraser and erase this over here. I went too far with that roof line there, the ridge of that roof, so I can just erase that and slope it down a little bit that way, and then across here. And again, this one here we can kind of do by feel. We already have the bushes here, so we're starting to, this is starting to disappear behind the bushes and trees a little bit. So we don't have to get too worried about that. And then we say, well, how far? This just comes out a little further than this roof here. You can kind of see that there. It's just like maybe, quarter of an inch. So I just go across about a quarter of an inch, and then this roof kind of comes out like so. And then we have the edge of the building there, and there's some more bushes here. And then from there, I'll leave that the way it is. I'm not going to really put this in over here. This is another roof of another house, but I'll just, I'll leave that out for now. I don't think we need to put that in. I think this is just fine like this, like so. And then I'm just going to really lightly count the numbers of panes in the window. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. You could divide it in half and then in half again. That's 4. And then up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I was counting the panes of the windows when I was drawing this in the field, trying to get it as accurate as I can. This might be the trim, and then the windows here. And again, just some sketching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we have an odd number of windows going across, we can do a simple idea of, if it's an odd number, like 5 panes of glass here, we could do an approximate size of the first one, 1 there, then divide it in half, and then a half one more time, and that gives us 5. And then they're divided again in half like so, like that. And then over here, there's on the wall, there is a cool light fixture, so we'll put that there, like that. And there's another one over, let's see, yeah, that one over here. Let's put this one like so. And then over here we have another wall that's on the other side of this side of the house, and there's a shed roof over here that's about here. I just look and say, where does that shed roof start? Well, it starts right about here, and it comes out like this, and then it comes down like so. And then there's a window over there on this part of the building, house. And then there's 3 and 3 for the windows. The windows have trim around them, so we'll do that when we use our pen. And we'll remember to just lightly sketch the trim around the windows, just so we remember to do it with our pen. But we're pretty much winding down with our preliminary sketch. And we have a chimney over here too. So we'll do a chimney here. And those always look great. Great feature for houses. And there's some clay chimney pots on top. And there's another chimney over here. Like that. And there's a telephone pole over here too, so we'll just put that here. And we'll draw that in with the pen as well. So you can kind of see how we did this. We did a preliminary sketch lightly. We used our ruler here for some measurements because we can. All because we're scaling this. Does that make sense? We're scaling this one exactly over to here, so we can use all the same measurements. We can just duplicate everything because it's the same size rectangle. And then if you want to know where this gable is, we just measured and said, okay, from the edge of the paper, it's 2.5 inches over. 2.5 inches over. That's the point of the roof. How far down is it? We measure this first. Okay, that's 1.25 inches. We make our hash mark there, just a little dot to say, okay, that's about where these are going to wind up. The eaves are for the gable end of this roof here. And you can kind of see how we put this all together, and it's not that difficult, right? Now that you see how we're just, making things easy by duplicating this using the same scale, the same size. If we were to make this a lot larger, working from this, then we'd have to maybe double all our measurements. Like if you want to make this double the size, maybe the full sheet of this paper or a little larger, you would just have to figure out by doubling this how much room you'll need on your paper. So if you want to make this double the size, anytime you take a measurement, you just double it. So let's say you want to say, all right, how high is this tip of the roof here, tip of the gable, the ridge of the roof to the bottom of the painting is 4 inches. You just take this and you make the rectangle 8 inches. And then how wide is it this way? 7. Well, then we'd make it 14 inches. So you'd need at least about a 15 or 16 inch piece of paper. So you can up and you can downsize too. You can take a larger painting or drawing or picture, photograph, whatever it is, and you can downscale it in just half the measurements. Or once you get beyond using halving things, then it gets a little more difficult if you're really good with math. So if you're a scientist or you work with mathematics, or you're maybe like a really excellent estimator, or you're great with chemistry, things like that, or you really do great in school in math, algebra and all that good stuff, you might be able to really quickly in your mind just figure out things real fast, like what's 1.5 times or 1.25 times, or if you use the metric system, maybe a little something different, 0.5, 0.75. You can, if you're like me and I'm kind of not the greatest with math, I'll admit, I tend to just, that's why I mentioned I made this the same size. And if I was going to make it larger, I would just automatically grab a really large piece of paper and say, I'm going to double it. And then again, I would just make my rectangle double the size of this, and then go from there, and then double all my measurements while I'm transferring it over to a larger sheet. But that's how you can do it. It's really a lot of fun. All right, so we've covered the ruler, how to use that really well to scale things exact, or to enlarge it if you want, or even go smaller. And then that's about it. We'll get started on the pen drawing over the top of this. And this is pretty much, I can see here, it looks pretty good on the camera, so you could see my preliminary sketch pretty well here. And we'll get started on the drawing in just a second with the pen. And that's pretty much the fun part. We're just going to go in here and zip around with our pen, felt marker. We'll do a little shading maybe with our China marker. And I think we'll use our Vision Elite, Uni-Ball Vision Elite pen. And we'll start with that. So I'll be right back. I'm just going to take a quick break, and we'll get started with the pen drawing. Okay, we are going to start our pen drawing. And again, like I said, this is the fun part. Are you having fun yet? Once you get your pencil sketch done, then you're really going to have a great time. Because what we're going to do is just really go in here and basically, you know, have fun and color things in with our pen, and we'll do the drawing again over the top. And at this point too, if you wanted to, I like to do this often. You don't have to, but I'll tend to maybe take an eraser and just kind of maybe erase a little bit of the pencil drawing so that I can, you know, lose some of those pencil lines maybe here and there. It doesn't have to be the whole thing like it's a perfection, but I might lighten those up a little bit. Kind of looks good too, where it's kind of that hit and miss, kind of like, you know, it looks a little foggy or something, where I've taken off a little bit of the pencil marks. But now you're just going to see, I'm going to start out right at the ridge of the roof, start doing the trim. I'm going to come down here, and this is where I'm going to do the trim and try to get in some really fine, nice fine lines. And basically I'll just here makes my, like this. And I'm following this, so I'm always constantly looking back at this as I'm going. It's almost just like my eyes are going like a tennis, back and forth. Or pickleball tennis. My eyes are going back and forth. It's like I'm watching a tennis or a pickleball match. And here I have these two windows here. And then I'll do the trim around them as well. And we'll do some window panes here. And again, I won't be perfect with the window panes and things. I like to make the top always darker on my windows, like this. That'll usually catch, if the sunlight's coming from here, and let's pretend that it is. Let's put a little spotlight here. That can also double for the sunlight, shining this way over top. And then we'll have that darker bit of shadowing under the windows here and there. And I think you'll agree with me, if you look at your drawings, if you kind of always change things around, like, it looks better most times, I find. My personal taste, you have to find your own personal taste as an artist when you're drawing and painting and working out your ideas with artwork and what you like in other people's artwork or what you like in your own and how you like to approach things and create your artwork. But I always think that if I try to change things, like make these two windows different, that to me looks a little more interesting, like in a drawing, than just making them both like the same exact, you know, patterns for the window panes. So you can kind of see they each look a little different. I think that looks more interesting sometimes. It just depends on your what you like, what your taste is. I'm going to do a couple, these are clapboard siding, so I'm going to put some clapboard siding parallel lines going across intermittently, and not, I hold my pen on an angle like this. So instead of holding the pen on a steep angle like this, I take the pen and I turn it this way a little bit while I'm drawing with it like this, and then that can give you a lighter line where it breaks up a little bit, and it's not as like hard and dark of a line, and you can also lift up here and there too to kind of just give it the feel of the clapboard siding, but not sit there and draw every line exact and make every line dark. If we make these lines light and lift up with our pen a little bit, change the angle of your pen like this versus like this, you'll get these really, you got to practice it a while. It takes a little bit of time, you know, but you'll get the feel of it with your pen and try to, you know, get some different dynamics with your pen. And same thing over here with our roof. So I'm just going to work right on down here. I have the roof, and then I think I just made some wavy lines here a little bit for the roof. And then I put the shingles with the vertical lines of the shingles, and I just make them haphazard. Most shingle roofs nowadays especially they're really made to look you know, diversified. The shingles, they're not so much I guess, symmetrical. They're usually non-symmetrical, most shingle roofs now. Clay tile roofs look symmetrical, and they look great too. But this one is a shingle roof, so we'll stick with what we have here. And then we're going to make a trim board underneath there. That's the fascia board. And then the box out is over here, the box window. And then we'll do the window panes like so. And again, I'm doing a light pencil line here and there. I'm not trying to make everything incredibly perfect. And then I'll do the window panes like this. And then some of the bushes over here, so that should be fine. Then we'll do the vertical lines. I'll trace right over the lines I did before, like that. And then now I'll just go in and have a fun time. This top portion of the window, again, I'm probably going to leave the whole top area pretty dark up here. As you can see, I'm going to make the whole top area pretty dark. Then as I'm coming down this way, I'm just going to and I'm going all different ways with my pen marks, which is kind of cool too. That's kind of like cross-hatching, so you can kind of do the same idea, doing some just all different angles, side to side, up and down. You could do side to side, up and down, side, you know, angular, 45-degree angles. And so the idea is keep mixing around the lines, but still try to shape it in the shape of a square for the window pane. And then that usually looks pretty good. Kind of gives it an interesting look when things are all kind of cross-hatched all different ways. And then we'll do our light fixtures. Now I did them very without any kind of, I guess we'll leave them pretty much the same way we drew them, I think. Let's do that. Let's just kind of keep them. Not too bad. This one's a little smaller. I made that one, but that's all right. It looks pretty good. And let's see. You can always change a little bit, make it like if one is a little smaller, you can kind of add to the other ones, or to the other one over here. And we'll do this here. We'll do a outside corner with some trim here. And then this over here is a roof. And this is a wall over here. And then sometimes you can add in a little of your own bits of wall or something just to smooth something out and make something look a little more interesting. This is all trim here on this window, so I wouldn't add any clapboard siding to the box window here that's kind of protruding out of the wall, the box window feature. And this over here I think has got a shadow, so I'll put a shadow under there, like that. And there's a little bit of a sill here on the windows and some shadow under there. And I'll just keep going right along here. I'll spin around here to get this trim over here, like so. And then some more clapboard siding there. And we'll do this window over here like so. And a little bit of window trim around that. And there's some window panes on there, 3 and 3. And we'll do something like that. Again, the panes, window panes, glass here, just doing some different 45-degree angles, parallel lines, up and down, vertical lines, until we fill those panes in. And then over here, let's keep working from this section here outward, and then we'll just go this way. And we're just going to keep doing the same thing. We're just going right over the top of those preliminary sketch lines. And then this one here, the siding was vertical, like that. So that's a cool little change, interruption in the parallel lines of the clapboard siding. Here there's some vertical siding, like that, in a vertical direction, which looks really cool. A nice change in the pattern, just a little bit of change in the pattern of the, and this might be some stucco or plaster. Chimney there. And then maybe this one is vertical siding, like that. Maybe we'll make this one brick. And then for brick, we just remember to stagger the bricks every other. And basically a brick pattern. A brick pattern is real simple to create. It's basically like if you're doing a chimney, a brick chimney. This would be a larger version, of course. And then let's say you have your chimney like that, the top of the chimney. You would just do your parallel lines going across like so. That's your brick courses, your brick coursing. Here's your roof. Then you would just take the, and this would basically be 2 bricks, 2 half a bricks and 1 whole brick. And then you do that same pattern every other. And that's pretty much how the brick is built for the chimney. And you can kind of see that's your common brick pattern. Your running, they call it running bond. So if you were looking at this, the way it's built, looking from it top down, we're looking at it here from like the side view. But if you were to look at this and say, well, how does it look if I was building it myself? It actually looked like this. It'd be a brick there and a brick here, a brick here, another brick here, a brick here, and a brick here. And then the chimney would be right in the middle, like that. And then the cement joints would be here, and there, over here, and over here. So that would be looking at it if you were building it top down. And then the bricks, of course, on the inside might be solid, or the bricks might have little cores. They put those in for various reasons. Lightens up the bricks, makes them a little lighter, and it also helps the cement to lock into the bricks so that they all become unified together, the brickwork. But that's looking at it from a bird's eye view, looking down on top, and that's the way it looks from the side, like over here. And that's how you get these patterns of the bricks, like so. And of course, if it's just a really super, like a large wall of a building, then it's just the same pattern. It starts off maybe here with a half a brick, and then all whole bricks all the way across. Then the next one, the same thing. So that's the pattern of really most all your brickwork is done that way. On any kind of brickwork for, you know, schools, buildings, houses, commercial, industrial. And that's the pattern all the time. Some get a little more fancier. There's English bond, it's called. A little different. Maybe sometime we'll make some brick swatches. So we'll just take a bunch of watercolor paper and make a bunch of brick and stone, and kind of like you could save it in a folder, and then if you ever are working on a project and you have to do some brickwork and some stonework or things like that, maybe we'll do some siding, different things like that. We'll do that. We'll put it on watercolor paper, and we'll actually color it in with brick color, reds and tan colors and reds, and maybe for the stonework, blues and tans and browns. We can make some really cool swatches, and we can save them, put them in a folder, and then when we maybe do a house like this, and if there's some stonework on it or brickwork, we'll have a folder we can just take out and say, oh, how did I do that brickwork back then? Oh, here it is. This is the notes for the brickwork. It's the same pattern all the time. Or we might do some stonework, like if it's a stone wall. How do we do the stone wall? We just start putting the stones in, but there is a pattern to stonework most times. And there's all kinds of different stones, so stonework and things like that, but we can do that too as well. Color it in with watercolor paint. This way you always have it, so whenever you're doing any kind of structural, architectural type paintings with houses, buildings, city scenes, landscape scenes with barns and stonework and cool brickwork and all that fancy stuff, we will have it covered, okay? So we'll do that in the future, maybe coming up soon. Let me know in the comments section if that's a good idea. And then we'll just continue on here with our bushes and shrubs along this beautiful house here. So we have the bushes there, and we have some shadowing under here, under the eave of the roof over here. So that's sort of that looks pretty good. And we'll do more clapboard this way. And then this is the eave of the roof over here. And I give it a little bit of waviness to it. And more shingles. So we'll do the shingles like this. And again, I'm holding my pen on an angle, pretty steep angle this way, so that it's a light pen line. And then I just do the shingles like that. Just on an angle like this, and then they kind of come this way, and then by the time they're over here, they're more straight looking, because there's the angle of the angle as you look away. The three-dimensional quality of the lines will sort of give us that effect a little bit. And then I'll shade this under here a little bit. So how are we doing out there? I think everybody's getting this. It's pretty straightforward. We're just going over our pencil lines, essentially. And that's all we needed to do, really. Once that preliminary sketch gets done with our pencil, lightly, and again, if we need to readjust things or fix something, well, you have a pencil line and you have an eraser, so you can correct it and change it if it's something that didn't come out perfect. And then we go from there. But right now, we're just zipping right through this because we already have the pencil lines down and we already had things corrected and in good shape, so we didn't have to worry. And I think, well, let's take one more break. We've done a lot of work so far. We have mostly everything done. I think just a few more details and it'll be complete. So let's take a break now, one more time. We'll finish up our last bit of roof shingles over here, telephone pole. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can do at this point. I think we have everything looking pretty good. This one looks a little more, well, we'll talk about that next. We'll just take a break for a second and we'll be right back. All right, we took a break and we're back and we're going to actually finish up here. I was just mentioning before we took a break, you can kind of see, do you see how this one looks a little more straight lines? This one looks a little more like I was working with maybe a ruler a little more with lines and things like that. I think that's just natural for me to do that. This was, quite a few, this was six years ago. So 6 years ago, this is on location, out sitting on a bench. I remember I was with my parents, we were visiting Pennsylvania. So when I did this sketch, I do recall sitting on a bench and hanging out, having some coffee, and doing this sketch really a little more freer. And I think my drawing skills weren't as good, but this still looks really good. This one looks a little more like an architectural rendering. This looks more artistic to me, more, just the lines look a little bit more wavy. It looks a little quicker, a little sketchier. but I like them both, but I would say I prefer this a little bit more. So I really didn't copy it exactly, but I would say when you do drawings, you know, if you did this 2 or 3 times, you might start out looking like this, and then your third one might be looking like this, or you might start out like this one, and then you could do another one, a second one, and try to maybe get a little more of a flowing feel to it with more wavier lines. I did this probably, yeah, I'd have to say this one is a little bit tighter. This one is a little bit looser and more fun looking. You'll let me know in the comments section which one looks better. Let's do some more shading under here. So I'll do some shading under the rake boards there on the gable side of the roof here, wall. And so I'll just try to remember where the light's coming from here. So I'm trying to put some shadowing under the rake boards here. There's another one, bit of some shadowing there. I'm going to put clapboard siding over here too. Here's going to be all trim, no siding over here. I think I'll just leave these trim boards. And maybe there's a vent up here. And let's see. We'll do our telephone pole here. We have our power lines, our communication lines. Then we can do some lines going this way. Maybe another few lines this way. And we'll do these shingles over here. And again, just really free-flowing this. Haphazard, I'm not trying to get them exact at all. Just some shingle tabs, like so. Let's add in some shading. We're going to use our, you could use your pencil that we started with, or we could use a little bit of a China marker. Maybe we'll use a China marker. We'll make our roofing a little darker, like a charcoal gray or something like that. It's just black and white right now, or, you know, it's just pen drawing, but I'd consider this like maybe a medium gray roof. It wouldn't be super dark, I don't think. It looks kind of good like a medium gray here, since we have white paper, black ink, and then a medium gray color for the roofing. That looks kind of nice. That gives us some good dynamics here. We have these bushes here in the front. Let's shade them in. I'm just going to go with the same thing, that kind of medium gray, and I'm just going to use a 45-degree hash marks like so. Maybe I'll go a little darker in the center of the bushes and lighter toward the edges of the bushes. And maybe I'll capture a little bit of that feeling of light, and it's a little darker over here. So the light's coming from here. I'm going to pretend we're going to have some shade over here too. And again, this is just to build our drawing skills and sketching and measuring and shading. But I think this looks pretty good, keeping it very simple. Just doing this the whole thing. Same angle. I hope this looks good at home for you. I hope you're in your studio, in your living room, your kitchen, you're working on this, and you're probably saying, wow, it's looking good. I'm doing a good job on this. And I think this does, and again, I'm shading this part of the building over here maybe. Maybe there's some shade over here from the bushes and trees. And there's some darker shade over here. And I think that looks pretty good. And if we get some darker down here, and it kind of just, since we have all those darks in the window panes, the trim here and there, those really, really dark darks, if you can kind of capture that with your shading a little bit here and there, on the very bottom of this, that might look good. I'm just experimenting as I go right now. We didn't do it over here, obviously. But shading can definitely enhance your pencil drawings and pen drawings. You might take a little more time. Maybe you do this with a pen. Would look good with a pen too. But it looks good with the shading with a China marker like this because we did the roofs in the China marker as well. So it kind of blends in pretty nice. And you can even add a little more shading like that. So maybe you add another touch of shading right under that dark, dark shadow. Maybe just add another little bit of light shadow. Not that that's so accurate or perfect or anything, but maybe it just gives it a little more interesting variation to what we're doing here. And over here too, under this section there, by this box window here. And we have this there. Okay. Oh, we forgot it there. There we go. That might not be so realistic because this looks like it's behind. Let's shade this all in. This is behind this. So I'm thinking if the light's coming this way, this is probably in shade. This too. We could do that. Shadowing is always a challenge. If you're trying to do shadowing on your own, it's really usually very difficult to do really where it looks fantastic. But if you're working from a picture, like a photograph, and you see all the shadowing from sunlight in a picture from a photograph or another painting that you might see that you like, and it looks really good in the painting, in the photograph, obviously you're going to see what it looks like, you're going to see the realistic pattern of the shadows. You can't go wrong with that. But I notice if I'm improvising sometimes and trying to do shadows on my own, they tend to go a little bit, hit and miss. They don't always look so good because for some reason the human eye picks up shadow patterns really keenly. So they'll always, people will always say, you can see, if you have a picture on a wall, you can see if the picture is tilted on a wall, correct? Right? So if you see a picture on a wall and you see it turned a little bit, you can catch that right away. You can say, oh, I got to go fix that picture, and you put it, you tilt it the right way. So our eyes naturally, even if you're not an artist, even if we're just everyday people and we're not artists, we're going to see little imperfections in things because our eyes are and our brains are very good at picking up things like that. So you're actually any everyday person that's not even an artist, if they see patterns of shadows that don't look correct according to nature, people will see that. They'll tend to notice it. And it just will look a little bit off, and they might not know what it is, but they'll look at a painting or a drawing or a sketch or something. So that's just something to always keep in mind. Shadows are, if you can always work them out from photographs or, shadows are difficult. So all I'm just trying to say is I've improvised with shadows numerous times, and they don't look as good as like if I'm working from an actual photograph or a painting, or if I'm outdoors and actually capturing something like, plein air painting. Just an idea to keep in mind because it really can make a painting much more beautiful if the shadows are all right on the money and looking really good. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for coming by. I always mention, too, if you want, you can always subscribe on the right-hand side below. This way, you'll when you open up YouTube next time, you'll just see if I've made a new video. It'll be there on your YouTube page when you open up YouTube. So that's all subscribe really is it just YouTube will let you know when I've made new videos going forward, so you won't have to worry anymore if you're trying to search out my videos. But if you type in Chris Petri, you can always find me, too. Any case, thanks so much for coming by and working along with me. We're all together in this. We're on a watercolor journey. part of the journey is doing our drawings and sketches. I know you're doing them, you're working on them. You work 10, 15 minutes every day on some drawing, a little pencil drawing here and there, pen drawing, whatever you can do. Your skills will really improve tremendously. If you just do it every day for 10, 15 minutes, you'll see incredible improvements. And if you're already doing it, fantastic. You're seeing the results already. Okay, we'll be right back soon on a video again in the next couple days. We'll do some painting, but for this one, we're just going to do our drawing, and you'll see how we have a really fun time doing our drawings. And we'll see you on the next video.